Hi there.
Hello, everyone.
I am Hilda Gottlieb with Creating the Future.
And I am Dimitri Petropoulos with Creating the Future.
And we are continuing our resource development planning for Creating the Future. And hopefully today, fingers crossed, we will wrap up this very abridged version of the plan. So if you're tuning in to help and to learn, normally this is a bigger process, but we're looking at a sort of an abridged version here to get us through the next 6 months to a year or so. Very quickly going over, if this is the first time that you're joining us, there's a couple of other videos of prior meetings, but I'll just go over really quickly what we've done so far, and let's dive in and finish this puppy.
That sounds great. I want to remind folks that you can follow this live via Twitter. If you use TweetChat, the hashtag that you'll be looking for is CTFuture. And if you have questions or comments or things while this is going on, please use that format, and we'll be able to respond in real time. And how cool is that?
How cool is that indeed? Okay, let me get folks oriented, just in case. All right, asset-based resource development builds on the assets that an organization already has rather than coming up with what the deficit is and trying to figure out how to fill it. We identify assets as physical, which is just the stuff you have. It could be intellectual property, which is primarily what Creating the Future is. It could be, if you are a housing organization, you've got buildings, rooftops, and parking lots and stuff. So it's the stuff you have. It's the physical resources. People resources, mission resources, the programs and the things related to your mission, and then community resources being the physical people and mission resources of everybody else in the community or in the world. We started out by looking at just 2 of those resources. We looked at our people resources, and we looked just at what we sort of call that first ripple. If you throw the stone into the pond, that very, very first ripple, the people that are immediately related to the work that we're doing and impacted by and consider themselves as engaged with Creating the Future. And then we also looked at only one of our physical resources, which was the asset of the framework of community impact planning. So a intellectual piece, but that framework being a physical asset. We asked for those 2 things. How can those assets be activated to create support for our work? And what we are going to do today is choose the options that we're going to matrix prioritize them, create a plan, and get it to work. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Another piece that I want to just really quickly, let's see. One of the things that we took a little bit of time on yesterday when we talked about how to activate the resource that is our community impact planning framework, and very grateful to the folks who have been involved in that conversation and the conversations over the past several days, but Dan Duncan and Kevin Monroe and Nancy Iannone, who were really, really helpful yesterday. That we looked at how that asset of community impact planning moves along, as do people. A continuum of, from people wanting to do just a small piece, read a blog post, look at a form, to trying something more comprehensive, diving in to do it in a big way, ongoing practice of that doing, feeling in their bones this is who they are, and then eventually getting to the point where it's so much a part of them that they want to teach it. Mm-hmm. And which brings them right back to, I don't know how to teach this, which brings them back to, okay, can I read a blog post about how to teach this, and brings them back through that continuum. So, we gotta fix this. Anybody who's watching will know that yesterday we still had to fix this. Okay. Let's you and me review where we've been. We looked at, let's start at the beginning here. I just want us to sort of have everything in front of us. When we looked at our people resources, and again, the question being, how do we activate our resources to further the mission and support the mission? which again is a different question than the fundraising question, which
Right.
is makes the assumption that, oh, we'll just hit up all these people for money. And what we're looking at is how do we see these rich, brilliant, whole human beings for how they can support work that, especially in this first ripple, they already care about. So it's not how do we ask them for help. This is something that they already care about. Mm-hmm. Our board, obviously, our individual board members, which includes you and me. Our graduates, our R&D lab members, our recording secretaries for the board who are not board members, people who participate in our programs, from our interview guests on our podcast to the people that are involved in the MPCons chat and the Facebook group. We talked about people who have actively said they want to connect and have connected.
Right.
So they've either filled out a form that they want to.
Had we included our guests, our board meeting guests? Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, people who've actively connected. The guests at our board meetings, people who are actively connecting via Facebook, who are engaging in conversation, so not just have hit like on a page, but are actually engaging in conversation. Right. Individuals who have contacted us and said that they want to be engaged in some way, they want to help, they want to do whatever. People who filled out a form saying, I want to be part of a class. Yeah, we did good work.
We got a lot of it.
We have a lot of people. You know, one of the things that we always find when we do this with groups is that they're always surprised at how many people they know. And this is just our first ripple. This is just the people who are actively taking part in and wanting to be part of the mission to create the future. From there, what I'm going to put up here is several things. When we looked at those people, we asked how can those people be activated? How can we activate their gifts, leverage their gifts to support the mission? And their gifts are both who they are and what they have, as loosely defined as that might be. So between that and then yesterday, we came up with the fabulous notion that when it comes to community impact planning as an asset, we could do if the goal is, where did I put it? Oh, sorry, here, look at that. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. If the goals are to raise awareness, to support the mission of creating the future, raising awareness of community impact planning as an option is a huge way to support the mission. That this asset can support the mission by raising that awareness. Obviously, if there's a way that it can bring in revenues to sustain creating the future, that would be cool. And bringing people along the continuum of their own potential when it comes to community impact planning. Mm-hmm. So are they at the I just want to learn a little something, or are they at the, oh my gosh, this is changing how I be in my life? And what we came to yesterday was really looking at a one-day event that could allow our graduates who do know how to do this and are in many cases practicing this in their day-to-day life, bring them further along their own continuum by teaching it, which could also do all of these things.
Now, this is in addition, because I know we were at one point talking about an event in March.
I think it can be part of it. I'm thinking that, so here's, I don't think we could get together a one-day event globally where everybody that wants to in our graduate community, anywhere in the world, as Kevin suggested, that community impact planning would be happening somewhere in the world.
Right. I don't think we can do it by March.
I don't think we can do it by March, but I think May, June.
Are we looking at 2 events?
Well, hang on. Okay. Hang on the phone there, baby. Because the question that becomes, if we look at that, starting to look at, these are the things, so along that continuum, small pieces, trying something more comprehensive, diving in. Somebody in our graduates community could do articles or podcasts or videos about it.
Right.
Somebody could create, our grads all together could create a workbook. Maybe it's not by May, but maybe it is the launch of that. They could teach workshops in their communities. They could kick off an immersion class about community impact planning, doing a one-day with a cohort or whatever, coaching, ongoing mentoring. Our grads could do a lot of this. We could do stuff for our grads here to continue their ongoing practice.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if they want to train and teach, then having that be part of it. So if they want to do some of this, they may have questions about how to teach it.
Right.
And that was what I was thinking about for the class that you and I were talking about doing here locally in March. If our grads need help in how to teach this, probably the best use of you and me in an event like in a one-day event like this is to be available to them and not be simultaneously teaching it. But we could record, if we do one earlier, we could record it and use it as a teaching tool for our graduates.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we did when we were teaching here. Let me stop now and show you how we were teaching it here. And we could actually use it for this. And so what I was thinking about, as you and I were talking about doing one earlier, it's sort of a run through.
Right.
You know, we've taught this with people who are already along the way because we teach this as part of the immersion class. We've taught this in a very short session, but we've never taught this in a really intensive way that to people who aren't already along that path.
Which would be what the grads would be doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so I'm
giving
thinking
them a sample of
that we sort of tested out
class.
first. We tested out how to do that first, so that we can help them teach further. And so we would do ours earlier, have it recorded as something that they could do, so that on that day we can be available via Google Hangout. We can just have the machine on, you know, all day. We'll look great by the end of the day, but we have the machine on all day.
Well, it's the Jerry Lewis thing, you know, starting the telethon.
There we go.
Beginning of the day, and then the end of the day, the tie's off,
and you know, your hair is looking like mine looks all the time, and yeah,
all that good stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I was sort of thinking about is that we would do one earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It certainly makes more out of that earlier event than just an event. I mean, it turns it into a
teaching tool.
A teaching tool, you know, beyond that, which makes it even more powerful.
Right. And, it leverages the leveraging of this asset to leverage something else that leverages that, then leverages something.
Yeah, and I could see ways of taking that raw footage and even allowing the grads to comment on it as they get further into it.
Well, they might be able to, if they want to, they might be able to use it if they're teaching a class. I mean, there's a million ways that this could be, you know, and I'm just thinking that that's another piece of the asset that, you know, so I'll write down here that we do a session. So as we're looking at this one-day event, which could include any or all of this, and would absolutely raise awareness of community impact planning as an option. It could potentially raise dollars for creating the future. We just have to figure out how, and bring people along the continuum. It would bring both our graduates further along the continuum of their own thinking, and would bring people in their communities along. I
think it was Kevin yesterday,
yes,
who was suggesting sponsorship for community of whatever that particular event is. So whoever the grads are or the folks who are putting it on as part of this whole community impact planning awareness day. Trying to think of what the acronym for that would be.
I don't know. I came up with Creating the Future Day. Oh yeah, that's a great thing.
That'll work.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll definitely work. This stuff. Yeah. So I think that if we're listing out what are the thing that I'm thinking about for pre-matrixing here
Right.
is choosing ideas that can accomplish two things, and then we can figure out what all the objective criteria. Okay, deep breath. For people who are watching who are not familiar with this process, the first thing we're going to do is winnow down to a bunch of good ideas, and then we're going to matrix against objective criteria to determine how to prioritize those ideas. In the first cut of winnowing, let's definitely look at, obviously, we need to consider resources. Mm-hmm. You know, we have our budget, and obviously resources needs to be an issue. Dollars, finances, money. And second, I'm thinking about will it expand the ability for our graduates to take on more of the teaching?
Expand our meaning creating futures.
Creating the futures. No, create. Will it expand the ability of creating the futures graduates to teach more on behalf of creating the future? Because we have got to move beyond it just being you and me. Mm-hmm. You know, ideally, you and I step out of teaching, they step into teaching, and we step into pushing boundaries and doing whatever else we need to be doing. Because there's a lot more to creating the future than just teaching. And so the more we can have whatever we decide to do right now over the next year to bring in resources, the more we can have that also help our grads step into more of the teaching roles, I think is probably the two things I would look at in the first cut.
Mm-hmm. That's reasonable. We need to have concurrent activities going on, and we can't be doing that. We can't have just us be the ones doing stuff. So.
Yeah. And to the extent that every action we take addresses more than one goal, it will be a good thing. Right. So obviously this one-day event thing is definitely going up on the board. You need me to be like where for that?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
One day, community impact planning event worldwide. We need more graduates in Europe. We need more graduates somewhere between Europe and Australia. We do really good from the U.S., from North America west to Australia, and well, or if you were to go west from London. Right. Okay, so from the UK, going around the globe, through North America and back to Australia, that whole stretch between Australia and that whole Asian area. We need Asia, Africa, Middle East. We need to work on that. Otherwise, we're not really going to be 24/7.
No, we're not.
Okay, Kevin, that's your job. Okay, so definitely looking at this. Let's look at what thoughts came up the other day when we were talking about how to activate the gifts of our first ripple, our people, to further the vision. We mentioned that we already have about $1,800 coming in monthly giving, that it would be fabulous if we could raise that up to $3,000 a month. Mm-hmm. If we could, sort of double or 1.5 what we're bringing in. It's not something that I'd like to push really hard, but I think that it's an easy thing that if somebody is already, people who are so deeply engaged that they want to sustain the work. And that's what we have already, is the people who are giving are the people who are so deeply engaged. So if we can just sort of put that as an option, mm-hmm. It will eventually come out in the matrix if it's not a good idea. Right. The wonderful thing about somebody giving $10 a month and thinking I'm not giving anything is they're giving $120 a year, and that's something. Mm-hmm. So And again, it's people who are already engaged, so it's not going out and sending the blank emails to people who don't already feel something really that they want to sustain it for them. One thing that I think it was you noted the other day, that that the people who are already giving, whether they're giving of whatever of their gifts, are those that the work is benefiting them directly right now.
Mm-hmm.
I love this campaign of asking people what gifts, community members and board members giving gifts in ways that are natural to them. What gifts have you not been asked to give? Mm-hmm. It doesn't solve the, it doesn't fit the criteria of is it money or does it activate our grads to teach, but maybe it is.
Part of this whole organization and the purpose of it is to be a learning organization, and part of the learning there is what are gifts. I mean, that folks have that they can participate with.
So an ASCII campaign of what gifts would you like to share but no one has asked?
I always love the question is, what do people say you're good at? And I'm not sure how it applies specifically to this.
But it's a great question.
It's a great question.
It is.
Also because you don't know what the question that you asked there has people. There's a degree of confidence. Hubris is not the right word, but something that's inherent in that question. And the other question is things that I may not think I'm great, but other people think I am.
We had an example of that the other day in our volunteer session, where Kathy just thinks of herself as someone who did work in a council office for such a long time, and doesn't realize what an immense gift that is in terms of her innate knowledge of how communities work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to so compartmentalize, sort of the vestiges of the Industrial Revolution. I put this part here, and this is all that I do, as opposed to thinking of it in a community sense, where we all chip in, we all have skills, we all have talents. You may be better at this thing than I am, but I still have this talent as well, as opposed to the only talent I have.
Right. Just putting a widget A in slot.
It's attaching the fender. That's it. Right. That's my talent.
Fender attacher.
That's what I do.
Okay. Developing classes for that inner ripple, webinars for our grads, webinars for others, immersion. I think, quite honestly, that gets handled if we're talking about doing that one-day event.
Certainly, some of it does. I mean, it moves it along.
And so maybe then develop other classes for the end of the year. So if we're talking about doing something mid-year with this, develop additional classes, or have that be maybe a project of our grads.
Certainly with their input, because I don't know what are the classes. I mean, we think we know what classes, but
that's what I'm saying. And do it with do it with the grads.
Yeah.
Make it a project of them, because they're the ones out in communities knowing what people want.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to be able to teach? And so maybe we aim at a one-day event in May, June that hones our grads, focuses them on one thing, but that after that, okay, what else do you want to teach?
Right.
Okay. All right. And it could be you and me too. Teach webinars.
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't preclude that.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up. Okay. No, I think it's, okay, that's good, that's good. Graduates and the board building cohorts in their communities, ED networks, networks to ask the higher purpose questions, and et cetera. I see that sort of coming from the, I think if we focus on that one-day event, that can be accomplished, and if it is not accomplished at that point, we can come back to it then.
Mm-hmm.
College level syllabi, build it with people who are already using it. I don't know that that actually activates our grads to teach really a whole lot. It's unless they're already in a college setting, which is very, very few of them.
Well, a number of them are. A number of them have done.
But it's not a huge. I mean, if we're narrowing down, if
right.
we're, you know, and I don't see that there's really money in that. So if it's a few percentage of our grads, but it's.
And the other would be applicable to that. So.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're getting there. We're going to be narrow down. All right. Now I'm totally lost for a word because we talked yesterday with Dan about changing the word faculty so that you're not thinking of it in the certification sort of mode, but people who are qualified to teach. What do you call that? But we've talked about faculty level or a faculty curriculum that multiplies the
spirit
effect.
guides.
Spirit guides, starfish guides, arm choppers. Now we're talking. But the whole, you know, obviously that serves the second purpose of helping our grads teach more and potentially is a revenue source. If they're teaching on behalf of creating the future, it's definitely a revenue source. And it actually spreads out and multiplies.
Right. We'll have to figure out at some point in time how that interrelationship works with creating the future.
Well, that's what the team that Gail is hoping to spearhead is the people who want to teach at the highest level, teach the immersion class, and having them figure out what will the relationship be, how will you qualify, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So there's already a team of people who have said that they're interested in helping create that, and there's already somebody who has offered to spearhead that, and I think that it's a big piece in both areas. I think that it helps spread the ability to generate resources, but most importantly, it helps our grads teach this.
Right.
Okay, those are the two things. So graduate. And we'll call it the faculty level for as a placeholder. And quite honestly, it's when we talked about this piece here. You know, when we talked about community impact planning and that one-day event. Training our graduates to be able to teach this was part of that anyway. So I mean, we keep coming back to the same thing, which is good. Right. I think, you know, it means that we're not all over the place.
Could be more than usual.
And more than usual. Having our grads share videos and blogs and etc. I think again that will be part of the one-day event. At least as a kickoff. I'm really excited about this. There's like nothing that this doesn't do because it's so open in terms of what it can do.
Right, right.
Getting me speaking gigs. Well, it certainly brings in dollars. I don't know what it does to teach our grads anything, but it definitely brings in dollars, and it's.
You know, there's an association there too with creating the future, and with, you know, at this point in time, being that the intellectual property is built so much on your thinking, and they're teaching that, having you there. I think it's a stretch to say that by getting me keynote gigs that they're
better teachers.
I wouldn't say they're better teachers, but in terms of getting the word out, raising awareness for them in a community as to who they are, and I mean,
look, we said that the two criteria that we wanted to look at is does it raise money, so we can put it up there just based on that, and we can argue the merits of it against each other later, not at each other, but against the criteria later. So we know for a fact that if there's a doubt, you include it because it'll come out in the wash later. So let's just do that. You know, we do know that when I speak, it stretches the thinking of others, that it, et cetera. I do know that. Getting grads at speaking gigs. I don't know that that's actually something that ever comes up. People that contact me for speaking are generally looking, but it could be referral fees on spit it out, honey, on workshops, on gigs, on client gigs, on you know, I'm especially starting to think about the fact that our graduates are not just consultants and speakers. Our graduates are also change makers that are on the ground, that are in organizations, and so having them speak at conferences is a very cool thing as well. Because they're actually putting it into practice on the ground.
Right, right.
So having, you know, a Debbie Ridge speak at a Girl Scout conference.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is the salon concept. At least I'm thinking of it in terms of salons. So we're speaking on all different kinds of levels. That doesn't mean speaking at a keynote. You know, that means being able to speak about it in all kinds of different environments. And certainly many grassroots types of venues.
Well, and there's also the whole issue of referral fees, which I think is probably down here someplace. But let's graduate referral fees. So yeah, let's. So for consulting, but for speaking and for teaching also. This is that, getting high-profile keynotes, referral fees. Contact us immersion. We're going to do immersion classes anyway. This though. Being more targeted in our newsletters is probably a good idea, but it doesn't necessarily bring in revenue or help our graduates to further themselves. So,
but it all depends how we're using the newsletter and what the newsletter is. I could see it evolving into something, or maybe a different newsletter that is for them, their clients, their base, the graduates network. For their network of people.
So it's their newsletters.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, but again, you know, in the next 6 months, do you really want to grab this?
Yeah.
No, this is not jumping out at me as something that fits those criteria in any way. It's something cool to do. Nothing on here is not cool to do.
Right. No, I agree.
You know, it's does it get on the list?
I mean, the way I conceptualize this stuff, I always think of it as okay.
Anything could do anything, and I know that that's how your brain works.
Right.
But we're trying to narrow, not widen.
No. Well, that's the first step. Or first stage, or first brush.
Right. And then activating others' social media, having people share at their own social media. That it's one thing to like a post, but it's another thing to share a post. And encouraging them. You know, it could. You know, now I'm stepping into the Dimitri role. It could give them the opportunity to teach in their sharing. But I think that's a stretch too. You know, I think it's sort of like this campaign here.
Well,
it's a no-brainer to it. It's not a lot.
Right. The timeline, the deadline issue is really what limits and stuff. Because, you know, in my exploration, my sort of cognitive exploration of these individual topics, I don't know what's possible in them. I mean, you know, we start talking about them.
Right, but we need to start doing something tomorrow.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that there may be things we can do tomorrow, but we would need to take a fair amount of time
Right. And we're going to do that. We're going to, you know, we'll make
to explore,
We'll matrix
you know,
now.
to see, you know, well, what's possible. I don't know. I don't know what's possible.
You know, yeah. Well, let's just put activate their social media. Because we're really focusing so much of this not on just that first ripple, but very specifically activating our grads to be able to teach.
Right.
Because that's really what's coming out of this. That some of the people they might teach are some of the people in that first ripple. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we have narrowed down this huge list to a slightly less huge list. I'm going to make a sheet that has this. Matrix on the board.
So in the department of having others help you do your work,
Yes.
there's a news story today of a gentleman who outsourced his programming work to China, but continued to be employed by his employer to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
So the work that he was supposed to do for his employer, he outsourced?
He outsourced.
Oh my God.
And the way they caught him
Oh my God.
was it was through, I believe, Verizon that the company was concerned that there was like this open link to China
Oh my God.
every day.
Oh my God.
They thought it was hackers who were trying to track
Oh my
it down.
God.
And the difficulty was, the reason they were concerned was that it required a rotating security key that changed every day. And so he was FedExing his key to them
Oh my God.
in real time every day, and apparently had been doing this for years, like 7, 8 years,
Oh my God.
and had even gotten recommendations and commendations for what fine work he
Oh
did
my God.
and how his programming was always really clean and there was never any problems with it and whatnot. And to add the ultimate fun to this story is they basically took a snapshot of his computer activity. He spent the entire day doing nothing. He played games, he did his Facebook, he roamed eBay and bought and sold stuff. That's all he did all day when he was at work. In the meantime, all the work was being done in China.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, really.
Trying to figure out how I could do that.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Mm-hmm. Outsource me.
Okay, so these are the ideas that we're going to matrix. Now we need to figure out what are going to be the criteria against which we want to decide and prioritize. So big, bright, bold blue. Okay, ideas will go here. All right, Criteria for decision making. We obviously, how much will it bring in? We have absolutely a need for cash. 1 is bad, 3 is good. Will it expand the ability of our grads to teach? Take over our teaching. To teach for creating the future. How much work is it? How do we want to quantify that?
Intensity of work or time involved.
Okay.
Resource, work.
As in, can it be done fast, or is it going to take up days and days and days? So, so those are opposite each other. So we need to have the answer be yes is no is what is up is down. Okay, so
self-canceling category.
Little work / fast. 1 equals no, 3 equals yes. Impact, maybe?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way of talking about its engaging potential.
Okay, it will engage beyond just the narrow grads.
Right.
So, yeah, let's call it engaging potential. 1 equals no one, and 3 equals throngs.
Throngs.
Further the mission, accomplish the mission, change the world. Will it accomplish multiple objectives? And I would say 1 is it'll only accomplish one thing. 2 is it'll accomplish the 2 that we've said, money and 3 is bing 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 is the bonanza. It'll accomplish a ton of things.
More than 3.
More than 2.
More than 2. The bonanza is more than 2.
¿Qué más? What else do we want to measure these against?
Did we have? You have how much money it will make? Do we have how much money it will cost? I mean, all those billboards on I-95 aren't free.
Okay. Free billboards. That's always solved everything, free billboards. ¿Qué más? We should probably pull up our old matrices and see what questions we're forgetting. It seems too easy.
Yeah, it's too easy.
I will go get it. It's right here. This is not hard. This is like it's sitting in a book right here.
So the binder right there.
We could actually do this. All right. Let's turn to page. Okay. I need my glasses. I need my glasses. How quickly do we have that? Yeah, we have fast versus a lot of work. How much cash investment? How work intensive? We had quick and work intensive on a different scale. How fast can it happen? Let's see if that
Kind
winds
of
up having to
variations
be-
of the same question.
Yeah, let's see if it winds up having to be split off. Will this effort accomplish more than one of our goals? Will this effort create a path to ongoing relationship? Well, we've narrowed down the sort of targets of it, that it's absolutely going to be about ongoing relationship.
Mhm.
And you had is the engaging potential. Will it engage other people? Can this effort be executed immediately, or will it require prep time? Yeah, I think we're okay with that. How much opportunity, unless you think there's the prep time? I think that's, again, the work. There's a lot of work. The time and the work all seem to be related in this particular case. How much opportunity? Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just thinking in terms of how you phrase this. I mean, the prep time I'm seeing this is how much investment in pre-announcement versus doing. So that how much groundwork do you need to do to bring this about? So I see if we're looking at the one-day event as one of the items that we're looking.
But I think it's also going to be a ton of work.
Right.
So if it's all the same question.
Well, it is. It isn't. It's when is the work? Is it before? Is it after? It's in the works. In other words, if I use that as an example, we need to create lists of people we're going to contact, put the letters together, what it's going to say, determine, do this process for all the sources of information that are going to disseminate
I get that.
this.
I'm with
So we need to do all of that
Right.
first, and then we start the program, which is actually contact these people, talk to these people, do these. So I was just looking at it as two sides of work. Is it all a lot of work? Yes.
Right. So what I'm thinking is does it matter if it's? I mean, if it matters, then let's put it up there. If it matters, if the work is before, during, or after.
Yeah. Well, I just look at the during includes the grads. The before doesn't as much. So it's how much work does the overall project take, and how much work does our direct, doing it take. So that's great. Let's move on. If it's not clear to you, then we'll just move on. I was keying off of the question that you read, the category that you read.
Is it an important criteria to us? That's what we really need to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to know. If it's an important criteria to you, I'll write it down.
It's probably not going to make that big difference at this point. So
Okay.
let's move
I
on.
mean, because if it's important, I'll write it down and we'll figure it out. I don't have to understand it. You have to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
How dependent is this effort on decisions made by others? Are any of these? Are the success of these dependent on the decisions made by others? I mean, to some extent they are, but
Mm-hmm.
but I think in all cases because we want to engage others. So it's sort of a moot. Because the purpose is engagement, it's going to rely on others.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me see what the... Okay, how much money? How long will it take to bear fruit? Time, work intensive. Is the income easily renewable or a one-shot deal? That is a good question regarding income. Likelihood of success. I think all of these are. I don't think they would have gotten onto the sheet if they were in that first cut if they weren't likely to succeed. How much non-mission expertise will we need to make this a success? It's not a gala and it's not a golf tournament. Will mission success raise more money? That's an interesting. Let's put it up here and see what happens. more aligned, the more fun it will be to.
Mhm.
I'd rather do the ones that are aligned.
Right.
So you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've exhausted criteria, and
And we have room if we haven't.
we have room if we haven't. Alrighty. First idea is a one-day, teach it everywhere, global community impact planning event. You okay, babe? Do you need water? Would you like me to get you some water?
No, I'm fine.
Let me get you some water. Here you go.
Thank you.
All right. One day global event. How much money could it bring in? It could potentially be pretty.
You know, we still have not explored what that one day event is, so
Yeah.
it's such an unknown.
But I think that potentially,
It potentially could,
we
yeah.
do a workshop, others do a workshop,
Well,
we figure out splits, figure out
and
how it
if we're
works.
thinking of it from a sponsored standpoint,
Yeah,
it
Yeah.
could well
Yeah,
be.
I think there's potential. I agree with you that we haven't explored it, but I'm sensing that there's potential without our having to add 472 to the matrix to make it work.
Darn, I love doing
We can do that.
that. It's like putting your thumb on the matrix scale.
Will it expand the ability for our grads to teach? Absolutely. Little work, can it happen fast?
No.
No. Yeah. Potential for engaging lots and lots of people? Huge. Yeah, I think so.
Probably the most of any of those.
Yeah, I think so. Very exciting. Will it accomplish the mission? Will it accomplish multiple objectives? Not just money, not just teaching our grads. Yes, I think it would accomplish absolutely all of our objectives and then some. Cost to do it.
That's an unknown.
Yeah, if they're live on-site workshops, then there is a cost.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, there's a cost of materials. For example, are there going to be materials? Are there going to be PSAs or something like that need to be produced and distributed to radio stations across the country? I don't know.
We'll say it's horrible.
We'll
just say it's horrible.
Right.
Or that we would need a sponsor to help with that. Sponsors could offset costs.
Yeah, and I want to also add to bring this in a more timely fashion, PSAs that are distributed via Facebook and assorted social media, because I don't know who listens to radio anymore. So be a podcast.
It should be not. Is the income renewable or is it one shot? Yeah, I think it's pretty one shot.
Yeah.
Pretty one shot. It has some residual effect, but it's not going to be. We'd have to do an event again for it to be. It's definitely an event. It's an event. Will mission success raise more money? Yeah. There's a direct correlation between the mission and the money. All right. I'm hungry. It's good thing we're almost done. Okay. And that one. Monthly giving program for the people in our inner circle. How much money can it raise? Not a lot.
It's finite. It's finite.
Yeah, but it's also not a lot. I mean, if it's $10 a month, $5 a month, it's great.
Even if it's more than that, even if it's substantially more than that, it still has it.
Well, if we're comparing them to each other, if somebody gives you $100,000 a month, then compared to this, it's is it a lot or a little? I think it's going to be a little. I think the likelihood of the people in our inner circle giving $100,000 a month is probably pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that it's maybe a 2, maybe a 1.5.
No, 1.5.
All right. We'll fund it. Expand our ability of our grads. No, it will not do that. It's all about money. Little work when we do it fast. Yeah, we can do it fast. It does have the potential. It has the potential to more deeply engage people who are already engaged, but it's not a big engager thing in any way. In any way.
It's the nature of what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Money's not engaging.
That, but it's also the pool is again finite. I mean,
But it's not going to engage others. My giving on a monthly basis doesn't engage other people.
we're saying.
Yeah. Will it accomplish the mission? No, except for that.
It's more than a one because it helped. You know, it at this point in time, it serves such a critical role that
if you were not you and you were working with a client who said we can't do does it accomplish the mission? Is it a mission event or is it a money event? You would look at them and you would say, this is a money event. This is not a mission event.
Okay.
Consultant hat. Yeah, this is not a mission event in any way. It gives us the means. It's not the ends. I'll write end up here. Can it accomplish multiple objectives? No. It just accomplishes one. Is there a cost to do it? No. Is the income renewable? Yes. Will mission success raise more money? That may. There might be the more people, because that increases the pool.
Right.
So I'm going to maybe give it a 2. It's not fabulous, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So the more people that are engaged with what we do, not just our graduates, but our Indicons chats and our et cetera, et cetera. The more people who are learning with us and exploring with us, our lab teams. Okay. An ASCII/listening campaigns. What gifts would you like to give? What gifts have you not been asked? I love that idea. As if you did not. How much money can it bring in? Probably not much. Will it expand the ability of our grads to teach? It might.
Mm-hmm.
That might bring out what they want to do more. It's not as direct as asking them to teach.
Right.
Maybe 2, yes?
Okay.
You look like I'm losing you.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm just sort of thinking.
You're thinking about something. Tell me what you're thinking
No,
about.
I'm just thinking about that. I'm thinking about the one we're doing right now.
Okay. Is there anything in particular you're thinking about it?
No, I'm just.
I can smell the wood burning.
I'm becoming one with it. So.
Is it a little work or a lot of work? It's a little work and we can do it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. Engagement potential, I think, is okay. It's good. It could be that they want to engage others. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't asked them. I'll give it 2. I don't think it's a 3, but I think it's definitely a 2. Will it accomplish their mission? Yeah, we can. I think just the act of asking for people for their gifts is the mission.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, 2 or 3.
We go to 3.
Okay.
I think that's.
Accomplish multiple objectives? Yeah, I think absolutely. Cost to do? Nada. Is the income renewable? We don't know that there's even any income there, so I don't want to hurt the... Okay, so what we'll do is we'll make this a column that we add in later. So if it's relevant, we add it in, and if it's not, then we don't, so that it doesn't skew the totals. Will mission success raise more money with an asking and listening campaign? Will mission success, if our success, we would have more people, may or get more, maybe we need to not say raise more money, but more engagement. Because I think that thinking in terms of money is going to just keep limiting us. that you know, it is the emphasis. What we're asking here is alignment. We're asking here about or maybe it's just a spurious question. Maybe it's just a shitty question.
Well, it depends on which thing we're talking about, and you know, I also think one thing I try to keep in mind on what we're doing here is we are doing our own work, but we're doing it as a
Instructional.
as an instructional thing, and I think that question is relevant in other circumstances.
All right, then let's do this. Then let's say that these two things, which came out of specifically the fundraising matrix, don't work if we're not talking specifically about a fundraising thing.
Okay.
And that we'll add those in later to see if they help or hurt another thing. Did it live up to everything that you were thinking about this?
I think so. It's still not clear to me in some ways, and that's what I'm. There's something there. I don't know what it is at this point.
Can we talk about it?
Let's move on,
Okay.
and if it percolates.
See, because I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited. I'm seeing it just as one-on-one, one at a time, asking people who are already in that group of that circle, the first ripple, sitting down and having a conversation with them. You know, and doing it in a way that we could, for example, go to the Facebook group and say, we are, many of you have expressed that you want to be more engaged, that you love the work that we're doing, that you want to know more about it, et cetera, et cetera. Would you be interested in having a conversation to explore how you'd like to be more involved?
Yeah, I guess part of it is that the rest of these are their mission, but they're also very much you know, resource development.
They can generate revenues.
Resource development. And this one is just it's purely a I guess I don't know if it's purely mission, but it is more it's more of an engagement approach. It's engagement tactic and an engagement activity. Just, you know, where the rest of it is sort of ancillary to it. So it is, you know, it's like good manners. I mean, in that, you know, that well, this, of course we would do this. We would create a one-on-one and have this engagement or whatever. I'm not making light of it in any way. Does it belong in this matrix? That's sort of what I'm thinking about.
But it's not something that we have done on any kind of basis.
I understand that. And I'm not saying that it's not a great idea.
And in terms of it generating resource, we're really defining resources not as cash.
I understand that.
So its ability to generate people who are willing to do X, Y, Z. You know, I'm thinking about Kim. I'm thinking about Bonnie. The note taking that the two of them have done over the past couple of days.
Sure, I absolutely agree that its potential is huge. I'm just trying to think of it in the context of this matrix. That's all. I'm
thinking that if we took these last two columns off that had to do with money,
I'm not suggesting pulling it off. You wanted to know what I was thinking.
I do.
And I'm telling you what that I have lack of clarity.
And I know that people want to see what you look like when you're thinking, because the only person that's been on the screen is me.
Yeah, well, they can see me. I'm right down there in the box at the bottom. A lack of clarity, in my mind, doesn't mean that we shouldn't proceed, because more often than not, the clarity fills in as we're doing other things. You know, as we move along, it can become clearer. I definitely think it's a great idea, and I definitely think we need to do it.
Okay.
But I was just having a disconnect between that and this. You know, some of it is maybe it has to do with measurability of it. You know, it's a hard thing to quantify. You know,
Nancy's here.
What is
Would
success?
a one-day event tie in social media like Tweetsgiving did? How much does that impact work and cost? Well, we've already decided. Hi, Nancy, first of all. Second of all, we've already decided that the one-day event would be intensive in terms of work and cost. There's ones in both of those categories. So I think, yeah, and I love the idea of tying in social media. So yeah, woohoo! And I'm sorry we didn't pay attention before. We've been so intensely talking with each other. So hi. Okay, should we keep going?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
okay,
That's great.
Good. I'm really excited. Teaching webinars and other workshops. Us, grads, anybody that's qualified to teach workshops on behalf of Creating the Future. I need to write that. On behalf of Creating the Future. Okay. Teach. Webinars, workshops. Can that bring in a lot of money, a little money? Yeah, okay, could do pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Expand the ability of our grads to teach. Absolutely, yes. A little work or a lot of work? It's a lot of work. It's not as much work as the other, but it's.
Right.
I think it's still a 1.
Yeah.
I think it's still, yeah.
It's the 1.5 category.
1.27.
Excellent.
Engagement potential. I think that's how people learn. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think it's not as much a 3 as that 3, but I think it's still a 3. Or maybe a 2.5 or 2.27.
The 2 sevens are definitely
ruling. Because the big one being the biggest, we'll make this at 2.738. Will it accomplish the mission? Is it ends versus means? Yes. Multiple objectives? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a cost to do it? Yes. And that also can be sponsored, just like the other. It's basically the mini version, the one-off version of those.
Right.
Even if it's a webinar, there's going to be costs. Is the income renewable or a one-shot? It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
It could be a series.
It's
could
potentially renewable.
So potentially, sort of, kind of renewable, but there is a finite number. It's not like monthly giving, which goes on and on and on until somebody says no, or until their credit card expires, or until this is maybe a 2. Will mission success raise more money? Maybe it's just a shitty question. If our mission does better, will more money come in? That's really what the question is.
Well,
mission does better.
And if you're looking at workshops that the more people are looking at, in that particular case, I think it does.
Okay.
Because the more people are looking at the approaches and are learning about them, the more people will want to learn about them and take the courses and so on. So,
I'm with you. So the faculty level curriculum, in terms of how much money it can raise, it's certainly not going to raise as much money as this has the potential to. Teaching webinars has the potential to, just because there's a fixed number of people.
Right.
But it's certainly more than nothing. Expanding the ability of our grads to teach, obviously, that is what that does. Yeah.
Not at
Is it a little work? Is it something that can happen immediately, or does it need planning? It clearly needs planning. It's and Gail is spearheading that, which is very exciting. Does it potentially engage lots and lots of other people? No, it's very, very narrowly focused. Does it accomplish the mission? Is it an ends versus a means? Holy crikey, yes. Does it accomplish multiple objectives? Tons, yeah. Is there a significant cost in doing so? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah. Is the income renewable or one shot? Again, this is this is just a one shot. It'll happen each time. It's not
Same amount of effort for each one.
Will mission success raise more money? I don't even understand how that fits into this. So I think that's not a. If the mission is successful, if we accomplish the mission, does this bring in more grads that, you know, potentially.
That's how I'm kind of looking at it.
All right, okay, then maybe I need to rethink that question. Okay, so mission success would absolutely bring more people into, okay, so let's look at this one now. Will mission success bring more people into that inner circle where we would ask them and engage them?
I would say
So
yes.
I would say, okay, it's not necessarily money and more engagement, okay. Will it be renewable? No, it's still not. Whatever effort it is going to require that effort over and over and over again. Okay, so okay. It takes me, sometimes I'm slow. Yeah. Alrighty, moving along here. My doing keynotes. Potentially dollars. It's probably about the same as the potential of doing a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 3, maybe it's a 2.5. It's not nearly, you know, as big as those might be, but it's pretty boundless. If I did a keynote a month, that's not bad. So okay. Expand the ability of our grads to teach. I don't think it really does.
No.
If I do a keynote, no. Is it a little work? It's not the massive amount of effort that is, but my doing a keynote clearly takes the week of prep. So it's
and I think that some of that would be lessened, not eliminated.
Renewable in the renewable column.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It is sort of kind of renewable. I never do the same thing twice, but
Right.
I'm not one of those that does I can't talk, but I'm able to pull stuff together. Okay, so then this is probably a 2
Mm-hmm.
in the fast and hard work kind of thing. Okay. And then there's also the getting of the gigs.
Right.
So
Right.
there's that. The engagement potential. Does it have the potential to engage throngs of people? Yeah, it absolutely does. That's
I think that's its main purpose.
what has so far. Yeah, exactly. He's spreading the mission. Will it accomplish the mission? Does it accomplish means versus ends? I think it engages.
I mean, that.
Does it accomplish multiple objectives? Yeah. Well, I think it does.
Nancy's back. She sees us.
Yay! Hi. We see you too. Cost to do it? No, everything is absorbed by whatever the fees would be. So there's no real cost to doing it.
No. And that's unless, of course, you use the cost as an opportunity cost column, or if there's a separate opportunity cost column. If we're doing this, are we not doing something else?
I think on all of them, if we're not doing it, we're doing something else. Yeah. Will mission success raise more the success in this area? Potentially. You know,
will mission success increase the keynote?
Fees, increase.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
I'm confident that after the one-day event,
the fees could. Okay.
Not only the fees, but just the number of opportunities
Sure. Okay.
would change.
Okay, I'm with you. Do I have room for 2 more? I have room for 2 more.
You have. We'll see how it works on you.
That's special. That's special. Referral fees. This is not referrals, but referral fees. How much? Not huge.
I would say it is something that could grow over time.
It could definitely grow, but I don't know that it is going to be as much as doing an event or doing, if I'm keynoting once every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, I don't know that the referral fees, because that would mean gouging.
Yeah, that's fine.
So maybe a 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Will it expand the ability of our grads to teach? If we refer them,
Right.
which has nothing to do with the fees.
Right.
So I'm going to say no. Is it a little work? It's just going to be figuring out how it works. I don't think it's going to be a lot of work. Does it have the potential for engaging lots of other people? No, I don't think so. There's nothing I'm missing, right? Okay. Do referral fees for our grads, if we refer them to do consulting work for somebody calls Creating the Future, we refer them. Does that accomplish the mission? Yeah.
It can be interpreted that way.
Yeah.
That it gets people out there doing this. The way I look at
but
not
it's
the fees, it's the referral. Well,
but we're referring now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that no, that the fees part, it doesn't. Does it accomplish multiple objectives? No, not really. Is there a cost to do it? No. Is the income renewable, or is it one shot? We could just tell them they have to pay us for life.
Yeah, it's sort of like a residual.
A residual, yeah. You got that? You remember that gig you did in '89? I want my money.
It's only a couple pennies. So
will mission success raise more? Yeah, I think that the more people hear of what we're doing, the more they're going to ask. And then, okay, so I think that's probably, certainly a 2, maybe a 3. Mm-hmm. All right, we're on the last but not least, and then we get to add them all up. Yay! We'll make Nancy add them all up.
The interesting thing about doing this and having people on Twitter is you don't know whether they actually walked out of the room at the time. And we're making all kinds
good, but then we do exactly what you do in a normal meeting. Is the minute they're out of the room is when you assign them stuff.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, that works for me. Okay, last but not least, to activate the social media of everybody in that first report. And so ask them to share stuff. I mean, really, really activate that. Because we really haven't.
Yeah.
We really haven't.
Yeah.
How much money could that raise? Not a lot. Will it expand the ability of our grads to teach? Well, not really. It may help them with some messaging, but that's about it. Is it a little work? It's not a whole lot. Yeah, it's okay. The engagement potential, I think, is big. I think that's where the power is definitely the engagement potential. Is it ends or means in terms of accomplishing the mission? Well, a big piece of our mission, there's the 4 prongs, is engagement. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's, a big piece of our mission. Multiple objectives, possibly. It could accomplish multiple objectives, yeah. Is there a cost to doing it? Just time. Is the income or the impact, maybe we should put that, is the impact renewable? When people get in the habit of doing it, they start doing it. So maybe 2. Will mission success raise more engagement or awareness?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if the effect of it is successful.
Okay. All right. Ready?
I don't see Nancy.
With her calculator out. I know. She's falling down on the job. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 18, 19, 20, 21. 1, 2, 3 is 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15, and 4 is 19, 20, 21, yes?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15. I'm going to make this a 2. This 4 is 19, it's 20, 21, let's make this 21.5, whatever one that is, that's seeming like a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18, 19, 20, 22. Holy moly. Look at that. I love it when it surprises you.
Yeah. It isn't a surprise.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it surpassing some of these others that you know everybody thinks the event is going to be the gala. Pick me, pick me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 18, 19, and 4.
Uh-huh. That's what I thought.
Ah, jeez Louise. That's really funny. That's really funny.
Think of it in the context of the TED Talk, and think of it in the context of what the TED Talk has done over time, and
I know
how
it's just, you know, it's wow. Okay, well, that's really remarkable. Okay, 1, 2. This one's going to be really low. 6, and 4 is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 18, 22 on. Okay, so this one is the event. This one is monthly giving. This one is the asking listening campaign. This one is workshops. This is me keynoting. No, it's not. This is me keynoting.
That's the faculty level.
This is the faculty level.
Curriculum. And I think what this shows, when you're looking at it, is that amongst the upper ones, there's very little difference between their value. And there's only a couple that fall out in terms of
Oh, there's another question. Can others do it? Can others take charge of it?
Yeah, that's a.
Because what I'm thinking here is, if we were to look at what are our priorities, we said initially that our priorities were we wanted to choose ones that are only have 3s basically in the 2 priorities that we said, which were money and. So if something has a 3-3 in money and the ability of our grads to expand their skills so that we can starfish this thing,
right.
Then I think that if we're going to say, okay, all of these look the same, let's choose the ones that are 3-3s. That might be the way to prioritize. There's 2 pieces. One is, I would say, look at the ones that are 3-3s in dollars and the ability of our grads. And then we might also look at the ones that are 3s in that they're no work. And so these are 3s in their not having a whole lot of work. So that leaves the only one we don't do is me keynoting. That's really funny. That's really funny. Well, clearly what it says is that the ones that we really want to focus on are the Global Community Impact Planning Day, and the and if we're gonna put our hearts and souls and efforts into something that we're gonna work our asses off on, that those are the ones that those accomplish the 2 big goals that we had, which is dollars and expanding the ability of our grads to create more ripples so that there's more people teaching.
Do I get like the special bonus weighting category?
The 423 that you want to add to this?
Yes.
And the other piece of this, and if you can zoom in the camera, the other piece of this is that this guy here, the creating a faculty level curriculum, is in part a prerequisite to these 2.
Okay.
So if our grads are going to teach on behalf of Creating the Future, then having a way of teaching them how to teach is a prerequisite to it. Right. So, it's high in numbers. It accomplishes everything we want to accomplish. It's not a 1 here, it's a 2. No, wait a minute. It's not. Nah, it's not fast. We made this a 3. It's a 1. It's not fast. Yeah, this is misrepresented. Which means that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 15, 16, 17, 18, and 2. This is 20. It's still a prerequisite to those other 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the other things will happen as they happen. But we will institute them as they make sense. We won't do it as priority. We're not going to splash in and say, okay, we're going to dive into.
Yeah, one of the things about the items that we're looking at, they're in such a interconnected world
to each other
that it's hard to, it's not like choosing between a gala and a totally unrelated other event or other activity.
These are all
they're
tied
all
to mission.
Right, they're all tied to mission, so because they're tied to mission, they're interrelated, and because everything we're doing, even up to this point, is geared toward building on itself. I mean, we're trying to maximize our activities at every step of the way, so that's not surprising at all. That you know.
Well, and if we look at the ones that we really, that are the 3 3s that we really are thinking that we want to do, they're also 3s in they accomplish multiple objectives.
Right.
So while there's others that accomplish multiple objectives that don't do that, these. All right. I think we're done. I think we have a plan. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pull together a team of whoever is interested in creating this, both the global day and in figuring out how our grads can be activated to teach on our behalf, do webinars, do workshops, that we can coordinate, we can use our network.
Right. Right.
Because we've got a really big network.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering is, given the comment before about...
Put yourself in the speed.
What I'm wondering is, given the comment before about the interconnectedness of these things, is we're not forgetting these other items.
No.
And so there will be a movement on, I think, all of them. It's just where the major...
It's not going to be a priority. It's not going to be, I'm not going to take a month off and make these things happen.
Right.
Right. And we could dedicate the next 3-4 months to doing almost nothing but these other big things.
Right.
And that's going to be the difference. Is where do we put our efforts? Our efforts have to be in spreading the workload, and therefore spreading the impact, because we can only accomplish so much with just the 2 of us. Right. And so spreading the workload is also spreading the mission in this particular case. So that's pretty cool, because it's accomplishing more in terms of the mission rather than oh shit, I have a lot to do.
Which I do.
But but that's okay. I mean, you and I have never shied away from that. Cool. All right. Well, to Nancy, if you are there, many thanks. We are done. We're fried, cooked, done.
Thank you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.